Dear Professor Premvrat, dear Dr. Jena, Dr. Akhilesh Gupta, friends, I think as I started yesterday referring to my previous speakers, I will do the same here. I want to make 3 points what I withdraw from the previous speakers. First one, I have similar feelings which had been highlighted by Dr. Akhilesh Gupta, and that actually my voice. I have similar problem with voice. I think these days we are speaking very much and very much abusing AC. The second point is all our previous speakers, they very much highlighted very innovative ways to approach education for all. And that actually one of the things why we all came here to discuss on this so-called global summit platform about issues, how to achieve education for all goals, but to make this 16th and make it achievable within coming less than 1,000 days. Because the global goals, it's actually have to be achieved by 2015. And we recently exercised in India another similar exercise. I think for RTE Act, we've been always looking forward how government, central government and state governments, they will fulfill their commitments within RTE Act by 1st April. And I think you understand it's not only media, the practitioners, people, parents, students, they've been concerned on this fulfillment of this act. But similar feelings will be by 2015, when all countries who signed this Dakar Declaration will come and say, yes, we did well, or we should say, we have to think about 2 other things. Either to extend the deadline, which is, I think, not allowed, not on national level, not on international level, but also it's about what to do beyond 2015. That's why in my presentation, I'll try to go through several issues, and I will try to refer to the Dr. Gupta and Dr. Jena's presentation. First of all, I would like to congratulate you again that this week is the Global Action Week for Education for All. That means all over the world, all countries, especially NGOs and civil society organizations, they are trying to do a big push to the government and to the partners in order to make them understand that education for all 6 goals must have to be achieved by 2015. And one of the biggest providers of these goals, this is the teacher. Here I am very much supportive to the idea what Dr. Gupta said. The excellence of students very much depends on excellence of teachers. It's very rare cases we have students who made their excellence and they become more exceptional case without excellent teacher. Behind of every success of student, there is an excellent effort done by his or her teacher. That's why we all say every child needs a teacher. Our World Education Summit, when we've been discussing with Dr. Ravi Gupta and his staff what will be the topic for this year, it was very debateful because first, 2011, the first World Education Summit mostly concentrated about innovative approaches, modern technology, etc. Last year, we tried to look to the issues more broadly, saying about the educational leadership. But this year, we agreed that our focus will be on strengthening equity, inclusion, and quality. Because these 3 areas where we have to join our efforts. I have this picture, maybe some of the participants who participate in other conferences have seen I show in other conferences. This is a very well-known case where people describing what is the elephant about. And when we talk about, say, education in India, initially my slide called school education, but after Professor Gupta said here about higher education, I decided to cancel. It concerns all education in India. First of all, unfortunately, being, say, non-Indian and coming here only 1 year ago, and keep reading every day newspapers and watching TV, especially this shocking news or breaking news, etc., I learned everybody knows what is bad in Indian education system. And everybody almost criticized it for having known 4 times A. It is not good access. It is not so available. There is not availability. It's either less autonomy or more autonomy, depending on which side of the, say, governance you are speaking. And it's not much affordable. And unfortunately, within these critics, it's very, very seldom cases we can see there is people who speak about these areas or these issues positively. So I am very much delighted to see Dr. Jenna's and Dr. Gupta's presentation. Where is the proof? There is many, many positive things are happening here. And we are, being in UNESCO, an international organization, we're receiving many requests from other countries to come here for study visit, to come here to learn the best experiences. They're asking us to send Indian experts to go to other countries and provide them help to achieve certain levels. That's why let's be fair. Second, I think with all this attempt, when we say now we are getting almost nearly 100 access or enrollment to primary school, which is above 90%, we always having the back response. Yeah, you have everybody in school. What about low quality? And then in some of the media meetings, I asked journalists, I said, okay, give me please good definition of the quality of education. What do you mean by quality of education? He said, we need to have good building, modernized, etc., etc. I said, please, you come. Example, among these World Education Summit participants, there is many prominent educationalists. There are many principals from the international schools. There are many professors and teachers and students from very good higher education institutions. And infrastructure provision are there. And I say, okay, if you think the provision there, what about the teaching forces? Again, I am saying, the teaching forces, when you have 1.2 billion population, what do you think, how many teachers they should serve? And when you come to the teachers, how many bad teachers you know? They say, I have these cases. Okay. How many good teachers' names do you know? We know the name of the late president whose birthday now is the Teacher's Day. But they don't remember. Third point, it's actually, in India, nothing small. That's what I learned. You call meeting of 3 people, and I think Professor Gupta, he can confirm this, especially in universities. You call 3 people to the meeting, and they call this international conference. At least it will be a regional seminar. At least it will be something big. That is a joke. But the true part is, you have to imagine, India is a big country. Education system is one of the largest systems. We are talking about society, we are saying it's one of the largest democratic society in the world. But it also applies to the education system. Managing more than 700 universities, and I'm sure they're not all yet, say, listed. That is what University Grant Commission, the Planning Commission, MHRD are trying to do, all India Higher Education Survey, to find out who's actually the players there. If you go for the educational, say, courses or programs where people studying and graduating, recognition, accreditation, making them with a quality certification is another issue. And now I think Dr. Jenna gave us impetus for the very strong vector on the open and distance learning. And again, in open and distance learning, India is one of the champions. I think you should not be misled by outlook of Dr. Jenna. He looks very simple. But in other countries, he will be referred as a general. You know how many students he is serving and how many, say, people are actually online getting their education. It is a big army. Issue of inclusiveness. We are saying every time there is scheduled caste or some other minorities or issues of gender, etc., not in school. But again, we are not reporting how many already of them in school. I think there is 2 slides in Dr. Gupta's presentation which says about support of girls to get their higher education and to get the scientific degree. And I think this is one of the good things to show. But with saying this, it is not about moral preaching. I always delighted, after all these debates, at the end, before going to the coffee break, people become friends because they have a hope for betterment in future. But here is a gap. First of all, we are saying always how we concern of the education system and how we evaluate it. We are talking like this teacher, professor. Sorry, Dr. Jenner, he looks like your deputy, no? You are all equal, and I have to treat you equally. This is why I decided to give you the same task. And the task is, you have to climb the tree. And you fully understand, for some of the students, it is very easy to do it, no? And that actually gives us issue of equity and equality. One point is equity. Equity is by rights. It's equity to have access, equity to have certain provisions. But equality is how to fulfill it, how to get it done. And for equality, there should be certain ways to do it. I'll come back to that issue. Our session called barriers, breaching barriers. Not being English speaker, native English speaker, I don't understand how we can breach barriers. By my understanding, breaching barriers, it looks like sometime I pass the main street where so many police barriers, they're bridging together and not letting my car to go. No? I think we have to say about the bridging opportunities, correct? And we have to say how to get overcome of these barriers, which will be bridged or unbridged. And in these cases, let's look what are the barriers. Barriers, I think, by grouping, this is one of the good websites. I took it from UK website, which groups by structural, which says social, economical, environmental system barriers, institutional, there is certain organizational policies and practices, there is a cultural barriers, and there is personal barriers. And we are talking about how to get over these barriers. In this regard, there is many good points since we are talking about equity, inclusion, etc. First of all, this is RTE Act. RTE Act actually provides very good legislative provision to get free and compulsory education for children from 6 to 14 years old. But since last 2 weeks, when Indian government accepted full-fledged Convention on Child Rights, and now by that law, India recognizing everybody who is below 18 as a child, and most probably we are going to expand this RTE Act, maybe including even secondary education. Who knows? There is certain points for structural, but unfortunately in these structural areas, again, we are very much looking how to get everybody into school, into the physical structure. But when we say structure, we have to understand structure, it's open. And that open structure, again, the example here, we have WES, who are actually providing very, very good courses, and they're very democratically open. I even did some, say, tries myself, and now I think I have to think to apply officially to Dr. Jenner for some certificate. What is the point there? For these structural provisions, unfortunately we understand only infrastructure, building, or this, say, IT provision, or etc. We have to understand there is structural provision of where I will go next with my previously education certificate. For example, with primary school certificate, I go to secondary. What I will do after secondary? What I will do with my higher education? Because we are talking about expanding and providing as much as possible higher education to those who want to have it. And that is a huge task for UGC. And UGC so far, by my understanding, handling well. Because I just told to Dr. Gupta, I know last week it was a University Grant Commission's meeting of SAARC countries in Nepal. And I know how it was difficult. Other colleagues, they're complaining to Dr. Gupta about UGC business. But again, when we're saying about the continuation, we should not forget the continuation usually comes with recognition of your prior learning. And that is not yet in India. There is a framework developed again by WES, and that actually gives very good hope for future for people who didn't have chances to get their prior education recognized, either by literacy courses, either by vocational courses, etc. Now, I think if we just continue in all these structures, we have to think again, who will be providers? One is the issue to prepare a school teacher. And school teacher, again, primary school teacher, I think it's very clear. Do you know how many primary school teachers do we have in India? Not many, no? 12 lakh? 14, 15? That is a test which usually people come for educational meeting. They should know if we are going to talk about education statistics. It should be handy, no? Another point, what is the teacher-student ratio you think is very good to achieve quality education? 1-to-1? 1-to-1 is ideal. And you think it is good? 50-to-1. 45. What is RT access?
1 to 15 is the
You see, the point is, if we are serious about discussion on education development, we have to make clear to ourselves our definitions. We are talking about the quality of education, saying no barriers for equality, equity, inclusion, equality. Sometimes 1-to-1 is good, but 1-to-1 is also not good if this teacher actually not trained. Example, my friend, you coming on the wheelchair, correct? There is a lot of barriers, physical barriers, etc. But there is another barrier of teachers who comes to teach to disabled children. We have very nice institution called Amarjyoti Foundation in New Delhi. I visited there. And by my surprise, my colleague who experienced UNESCO staff working many years in many countries, he starts speaking a very nice speech to the deaf school children. They've been clapping because they've been very kind. They're Indian. They like people coming and speaking. But he was not able to understand before entering to the class to think who are the listeners. He thought about his teacher preparation, about his background. Okay. Another point is, when we say about the teachers, we are actually very much concerned the teachers should be qualified, but also it should be enough. Because we have many schools where we don't have teachers. And this is one of the, say, NCRT study which done recently about how many PTR means pupil-teacher ratio. And you see, there is classes where teachers teaching in classes more than 100 students. And unfortunately, they are already concluding about 3% of the total primary schools. Now, you said, you may ask me, you actually came to speak about education for all, why you switched to teachers. When we speak about teachers, actually we speak also about provision, we speak about the quality, we speak about where they have to teach. We have to say also teachers should have at least teacher room where they can prepare their classes, etc. In this regard, I can show you this web saying gross enrollment ratio in primary is okay, the gross gender parity index is also okay, but pupil-teacher ratio is not okay. Survival rate, unfortunately, low, 83%. Primary and others, yeah, I'm finishing. I will skip. That's why I want you to remember, if you're going to talk, we have to speak about education with full knowledge. Second, we have to speak about teachers. And now third, we have to speak about those who actually didn't overcome those barriers. Yesterday, when I speak, Dr. Sinclair, she said, yeah, there is different statistics. Now, for today, I got official statistics. By official statistics, we have 81 lakh out-of-school children in India. And unfortunately, with this methodology, not every expert is agreeing. It doesn't include children of the migrant workers. It doesn't include children of the working, like child labor. It doesn't include those who are actually disabled. okay, because there is different counting, and there is not actual picture of those who drop out. Now, when we speak about the problem, we always have to speak about the solutions. And I think some solutions I'm not going to repeat, which had been presented, like NEOS has equivalency programs done by open and distance learning. There is, for those who is above 15, there is literacy courses and other courses done by National Literacy Mission Authority, and there is many other, say, tries. But everything comes back to quality, and by quality, we are not there. That's why I would like, in other sessions, we have to concern about the quality more. Last but not least point, quality, teachers, etc., everything good. But whenever I pass nearby school in my enclave, I'm not seeing that teachers are speaking with respect to students. And that is the one point which I want to conclude and ask you. If you want to think about the global citizenship, overcoming the barriers, etc., we have to start speaking about the tolerance. And it's about the passion, about the dedication. Thank you very much.